Part 2, introduction or lesson, if you will, to the Italian language for mostly native speakers of English, because I'm speaking about phonetics and differences between the two languages. As I said before, I will win you off the the English language as we progress. This is not a bullshit channel. I don't crack jokes. I don't show you or stereotypes about Italians or about English speakers. We dispense with that, but we go straight to the point. The point is learning language. Okay, forget about the idea you have concerning the Italian language, the idea of the Italian language you have, or the accent. What you do is an imitation of Southern accent, what I see in America. So you should actually listen to the standard Italian pronunciation. Okay. You learn that every time you read the letter A, you have to pronounce A. And every time you read the letter O, you have to pronounce O, more or less. There are two kinds of O, but this, for the time being, we just pronounce O this. Okay, this is the radio. The letter E is pronounced E, the letter I is pronounced E. Okay, now that we know that, we should know a little bit about consonants and the sounds. The only sounds we have, consonant sounds we have in Italian that do not exist in English is the sound L and the sound N. That's why when American people pronounce Benigni, they pronounce Benini. It's very important because sometimes there are minimum pairs. That means two words that are exactly the same except for that sound. Figli, figli. Sogno, sono. Campagna, campagna. Usually, as a rule, the sound l, you have to crush your tongue against the palate. Show you. I'm gonna show you. Not l. The part of the tongue that touches the palate is more towards, is behind, not in the middle. La is more the point. La. More part of the tongue is crushed against the palate. Nya is the same also, but you a little bit close here, so the sound gets into the nose. Is called nasal. Nya. Okay, the sound L is spelled GL, and the sound N is spelled GN. It is very important. Obviously, this is only the beginning. You have to practice a lot in order to internalize these sounds. Knowing is not enough, because learning a language is absorbing the language, not knowing the rules. Okay, this is a scholar knows the rules. You're not scholars, you're people who want to actually speak and understand the language in a practical way. So you should, at the beginning, yes, there is a theoretical part, you become aware of this, but this is not enough. Being aware, it is not enough. Okay, other thing, chi, che, gi, ge. The letter H in Italian is not pronounced. I mean, it hasn't been pronounced the way English people do for more than 2,000 years. Okay, from the time of the Latins. So that letter was free. What happened? In Latin, C-I and C-O, where it was pronounced chi, co. In Italian, many times C in front of I became pronounced chi. And the same for G in front of I and E was pronounced G, J. Okay. Since there weren't two different letters for ki and g, gi and g, chi, ki, gi, g, they said, okay, the H is useless. Let's use as a sign. So if the C is in front of I and it is still pronounced ki, to show that we put an H. Okay, this H has nothing to do with ha. It's just a sign. The same, if the G letter in front of a I or a E is pronounced G and not G, we put the H. So actually, as a rule, C in front of O and U is pronounced ko, ku. G in front of O and U is pronounced go, gu. If the C is in front of E and I is pronounced chi, che. If the G is in front of E, I is pronounced G, J. If I want to pronounce ki, ke, gi, ge, I have to put in the middle between the C and the I, the C and the E, the G and the I, the G and the E, the H. The H means that we have to pronounce k and g. Okay? It takes a little bit of, you have to pay attention. Okay. C-I, C, G-I, chi, G. C-H-I, C-H-E, ki, ke. G-H-I, G-H-E, gi, ge. Practice this at the beginning. It's very important. Focus. Develop reflexes. Develop a reflex so when you read ki, ke, gi, ge, don't read chi, che, gi, ge. One thing, sorry, I saw some old movie. For Christ's sake, if you say macchiato, it's macchiato, not macchiato, for the same reason I've been explaining now. Okay? Latte macchiato. Latte macchiato. And no latte macchiato. It's very important. You see actually the difference between the English way of speaking, because actually Italian words, these are Italian words in an English speaking context. So I don't reckon when you say latte macchiato or latte, this is Italian. These are Italian words. They enter the English language, and from that point on, has nothing to do with Italian. The same happens with English words that are used in Italian. They have the Italian pronunciation, and sometimes they get other meanings. So do not confuse what you think it is Italian. You think it is Italian in your language. What the actual Italian language is. So we've been explaining gli, we have explained that, gli, gni, gne, chi, che, chi, che, ko, go, go, gu. Okay, one thing you cannot write in Italian is gli. There's only one word where GLI is pronounced gli, is glicine. Okay, this is the only word. And actually, there's no telling it's glicine instead of glicine, just because we know that it's pronounced glicine. Gli, 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 gli. Okay, there is some other words now that I think of. Glissare. Glissare. Gli, gli, glo, gli, gni, 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 gni. There's no gni, gno, gno. No. Okay, more or less we've been facing basic rules on how to go about actually reading the Italian. One thing that you have to check is the stress. I speak Greek, and in Greek there's always the stress, like export, export, you know, because there's a sign on the stressed syllable. We don't have that in Italian. That means that you do not have to invent stress. You check in a dictionary, okay? You look it up, the stress, and put with a pencil. Do not develop wrong stresses, because I know once a stress is in your mind, it's very difficult to erase a wrong stress and put a new one. It's very, very difficult. So the best thing to do is to learn from scratch all the right stresses. The stress is not always on the one but last, the penultimate syllable, the last but one syllable, as many English speakers think. Okay, see, I noticed this. It's not like this. You have this idea, but it's not like this. It's more complicated than that. Okay, that's it for the time being.